I mean, everyone knows their foundry business is burning a lot of cash. It lost $7 billion last year, and there's no signs of the business turning around anytime soon. So what they've done is created an independent subsidiary for that business. Obviously, they need more funding to upgrade the fabs to make sure it can compete with TSMC. But at least there's more transparency around how much money they're losing in that foundry business, what sort of gross margin profile it has. And it just, as an investor, it gives me more comfort to see, okay, how is the core PC business doing versus what is it that the foundry is losing? And if they have to raise capital, then they can do that. So more to do with transparency. I don't think execution changes in a quarter.
Yep.
So it's a long story, but at least they're doubling down in the US here. So they're stopping their investments outside of US. And what it suggests is with the geopolitical tensions that there are, a lot of these hyperscalers will pivot to using Intel as a foundry, at least here in the US.
And really, what's the thought behind the play for investors that are investing in Intel? I mean, when you look at its competitors, we've got NVIDIA, I'm looking year to date, up 136%. We've got Intel down about 56%. So what is the play? What type of investor is still investing in Intel at this point?
I mean, the consensus is overly negative on Intel. Any hint of positive news is good for the stock. And look, they have to give incremental proof points as we go along. So this is by no means a turnaround in the making. No, you have to look at the incremental data points. Everyone thought hyperscalers are the ones who are spending over $100 billion in CapEx, who are raising their CapEx. Why is Intel not exposed to that? So now they have given a hint that maybe Amazon will give a small order. I don't think they are making all their chips with Intel anytime soon. And they're still going to TSMC for all the leading node manufacturing. But the fact that Intel could get a few orders from Amazon, it's a positive.
Is there a technical reason that Intel just doesn't have it to compete? Or
absolutely. I mean, it goes
they just
down
don't
to
have the they just don't have the products that customers want?
It's about the process node technology. So when TSMC says they have a 3 nanometer at scale, where they're making chips for Apple, NVIDIA, all the fabless guys, Intel doesn't have the equivalent of 3 nanometer. They're still trying to perfect that. They've lost a lot of engineering talent. Plus, their cost of manufacturing is 70% higher than TSMC's. So it makes it very hard to justify why would any company give an order to Intel for a leading node when the costs are higher and they're not even at parity. The only reason I can think of is the geopolitical tensions. What if something happens to Taiwan? That's where an Apple or an NVIDIA or an Amazon would want to diversify their exposure.
I mean, and Intel really used to be a powerhouse. So, I mean, what would they need to do to really see some sort of comeback? Do they need to be a bit more innovative and start looking for something that's a bit more competitive? Or does it seem like it's pretty much a universal lost cause? Is that how Wall Street is viewing it?
I mean, look, the government is completely behind Intel. So there are very few sectors where the government really supports you in such a big way. Intel definitely has that tailwind in terms of government support, $8.5 billion in CHIPS Act funding, another $3 billion announcement coming out yesterday. So they have all the support from the government. It's about making sure that translates into good yields, making sure their chips are equivalent to the likes of TSMC, and that's where the execution comes in. Do they have the engineering talent to turn around their fab manufacturing and their chips being competitive to TSMC?
Does Taiwan Semiconductor manufacture all their chips in Taiwan?
Yes.
That's a problem, dude. I mean, a Chinese and a Taiwanese boat bump into each other in the night. It could be all over.
Yeah, I mean, they have plans to expand in the U.S., in Arizona.
If I'm Tim Cook, I'm saying, here, Intel, here's the chip, just manufacture it. I mean, it's in my best interest, if I'm Apple, if I'm all these chip, to have Intel doing great, right?
Yeah, but then Intel also is a design vendor as well. So Intel makes a chip that's competitive to NVIDIA. So why would an NVIDIA have Intel manufacture their chip when Intel could also compete with it? And that's a problem that Intel has had in separating those businesses, because Intel is also a competitor.